You have come to the last page of the chapter, my child, and it has ended in sorrow. You have read the final, painful words, and your heart has felt the heavy, thudding finality of a book being slammed shut. You stare at the stark, unyielding finality of that full stop, that period at the end of the sentence, and it seems to be the very epitaph of your hope, the definitive conclusion to the beautiful story you thought was being written. They may have looked upon this ending, this loss, this failure, this devastating turn of events, and have offered you their condolences, their pity, their somber agreement that this, indeed, is the end of the tale. And your own spirit, exhausted by the painful narrative, has been tempted to agree, to accept this full stop as final. But I, the author of your story, the one who holds the pen, draw near to you now and whisper a truth that changes everything. The sentence has ended. Yes. The chapter is complete. Yes. But your story is not over yet. I know the profound and specific agony of this sense of a full stop. It is a pain that goes beyond mere sadness. It is a grief for a narrative that has been cut short, for a future that has been erased. You had a story in your mind, a beautiful story of how your life would unfold. You saw the chapters of joy, of love, of purpose, stretching out before you. And then the plot took a devastating turn. The fire came, the storm hit, the betrayal occurred, the loss descended, and the narrative you were living, the story that gave your life meaning and direction, came to an abrupt, tragic, and seemingly absolute end. You have been living in the aftermath of this ending, in the silent, desolate space that follows the final word. It is a place of profound disorientation. You no longer know what story you are in, or if there is any story left at all. You feel like a character whose author has abandoned them mid-sentence, leaving you stranded on a blank page with no direction, no purpose, no hope of a future scene. The silence that follows this full stop is deafening, for it is filled with the ghosts of all the unwritten chapters, the echoes of all the unsung songs, the phantoms of all the unfulfilled promises. This is the weight of a closed book. My child, it is the heavy burden of believing that your best chapters have already been written, and they have culminated in this tragedy. You reread the final, painful passages over and over again, trying to make sense of them, trying to find a different ending, but the full stop remains, stark and unyielding. This can lead to a profound despair, a belief that your entire life will now be defined by this one, tragic conclusion. You begin to identify yourself not as the hero of an ongoing epic, but as the victim in a story that has already ended in tears. They, in their well-meaning but limited understanding, have often reinforced the sense of finality. They have brought you their wreaths of sympathy. They have spoken of your loss in hushed, past tense tones. They have treated you as one whose story is now a sad cautionary tale to be told, rather than a vibrant, ongoing narrative to be lived. They have encouraged you to find closure, which so often means simply accepting this tragic ending as the final word and learning to live in its shadow. Their own discomfort with an unresolved, painful story has led them to collude with your own deepest fears, to agree that the book is indeed closed, and your own mind, my child, has become a powerful echo chamber for this verdict. It has told you that there is no way forward, that the last page has been turned, that the ink has run dry. It has replayed the final, painful scene on an endless loop, solidifying it as your defining reality. The grief for the story you have lost has been so immense that it has blinded you to the possibility that the author might have another volume, another chapter, another sentence he is preparing to write. I have seen you in this desolate place, my beloved, sitting with the closed book of your past, your heart aching with the finality of it all. I have witnessed your sorrow. I have felt your hopelessness. I have understood the profound pain of believing your beautiful story is over. And I do not diminish the reality of this chapter's end. The pain was real. The loss was real. The ending of that particular storyline was real. It did, indeed, come to a full stop. But I, your author, who sees the entire eternal manuscript of your life, I must reveal to you a truth that your grief has hidden from your sight. That full stop was not the end of the book. It was merely the end of a single, powerful, and ultimately preparatory chapter. It was the dramatic pause before a great and glorious plot twist. It was the silence between two magnificent movements of your life's symphony. It was the end of one volume in a vast, multi-volume epic that I am writing with your life. The world sees the full stop and assumes it is final. But I, the author, see the vast, clean, empty page that follows it, a page alive with a breathtaking potential, a page upon which I am even now preparing to write a new and more glorious chapter, with an eternal ink of redemption, of resurrection, of a joy so profound it will transfigure the memory of the sorrow that preceded it. So do not let your heart be defined by that last, painful sentence. My child, do not mistake the closing of one chapter for the closing of the entire book. Your faithfulness in that difficult chapter has been a thing of beauty, and it has prepared you for the magnificent new narrative that is to come. Lift your eyes from the stark finality of that full stop. For I, your loving author, have not laid down my pen. My hand is poised. The ink is flowing. And your story, my precious, beloved child, is not over yet. The grief you feel is a holy tribute to the story you loved, the story you thought you were living. It is right to mourn its passing. It is right to feel the sorrow of its conclusion. I have mourned with you. I have wept with you. I have honored the love you invested in that chapter. But I cannot allow you to believe that this is the entirety of my plan for you. My stories are always stories of redemption. And redemption means that even the most tragic of endings is never truly the end, but is in my skillful hands, the very catalyst for a new and more glorious beginning. The world works in prose, but I work in poetry. And in poetry, a line break, a stanza break, a pause is not an ending, but a tool to create emphasis, to build anticipation, to give the words that follow a greater power and a deeper meaning. The full stop you have experienced has been my divine line break, a sacred pause designed to make the new chapter I am about to write resonate with an even more profound beauty and grace. You have felt that the plot has been lost, but I tell you, the plot has only thickened. You have been brought through a passage of immense narrative tension, a crucible of character development that has now prepared you. The protagonist of this sacred tale for a new adventure, a new purpose, a new love that your former, untested self would not have been ready to embrace. The finality you have felt has been real, but it is the finality of a seed falling to the ground and dying to all outward appearances. Its story is over. It is buried in darkness, its form dissolved. This is a true ending of a particular phase of its existence. But the one who understands the ways of life knows that this death is the absolute prerequisite for the glorious resurrection to come. The new life, the strong stalk, the beautiful blossom, the abundant fruit. Your last chapter was that necessary falling to the ground. And now, my beloved, the story of your resurrection is about to begin. Your story is not over. Not yet. So I invite you, my child, to begin to lift your gaze. Look up from that final, painful word on the last page. Look past the starkness of the full stop. Look towards my hand, the hand of your author, which is even now dipping my pen into the eternal ink of new beginnings. A fresh, clean page awaits. A new chapter is about to be inscribed, and the story it will tell will be one of hope, of healing, and of a joy so profound it will redeem every sorrow of the chapter that has now, blessedly, come to its close. Trust me, my child, the best parts of your story are still to come. Your story is not over yet. My beloved child, you have been staring at that last painful page, at that stark and lonely full stop, believing with all your heart that it signifies the end. You have felt the heavy finality of the closed book, its cover a tombstone upon your hopes. But I want to lift your gaze now from the page that has been written and to invite you into my reality, into the sacred, creative space of the divine author. For while your eyes have been fixed on that full stop, while you have believed the ink has run dry and the story is complete, I tell you a truth that changes everything I have not put down. My pen, in this very moment, my pen, filled with the eternal ink of my love and my resurrecting power, hovers over the clean, white, waiting expanse of the very next page. The story is not over because the author is still writing. You have perceived the silence that followed your last chapter as the silence of an empty, abandoned library, the quiet of a story finished and shelved away to gather dust. But the silence you have been experiencing is of an entirely different nature. It is the focused, potent silence of the author's studio. It is the quiet of my deep and loving contemplation as I prepare to write the next, most beautiful and redemptive chapter of your life. It is not an empty silence, my child, and it is a silence pregnant with creative potential. A sacred pause before the inscription of a new and glorious beginning. My pen did not write that final full stop and then retreat. It simply paused. A master storyteller knows the power of the pause, the dramatic weight of the space between chapters. Right? It is a moment for the reader to absorb the impact of what has transpired, a moment for the emotional resonance of a difficult passage to settle. But it is always, always a prelude to what comes next. Your feeling of finality has been you, living in that sacred, authorial pause. But I've never left the writing desk. My hand has never left the page. And my intention to continue your beautiful story has never, for a single instant, wavered. Let us speak of this hovering pen. It is a symbol of my active, present, and forward-looking intention for your life. It is not packed away in a drawer. It is not held at a distance. It is poised, right here, right now, over the page of your immediate future, charged with possibility, ready to move. This pen is held by a hand that is infinitely skillful, a hand that knows your story intimately, a hand that has penned every past joy and has held you through every past sorrow. And it is a hand that is guided by a heart that loves you with an everlasting love. The ink within this pen, as I have told you, is eternal. It is the ink of my grace, which can redeem any past sorrow. It is the ink of my power, which can create new realities where there was only desolation. It is the ink of my truth, which can overwrite every lie the world or your own fear has ever told you. And this pen, filled with this miraculous ink, is even now hovering over the page, ready to inscribe for you a chapter of such beauty, such healing, such joy, that it will make the pain of the last chapter seem but a distant and necessary shadow. Consider now the clean, white page that lies before my hovering pen. You have been looking backward at the tear-stained, blotted pages of your past trial, but I am looking forward at the pristine, untouched potential of your future. This new page is a gift of my grace. It is not burdened by the last chapter. It is a space of new beginnings, a place where any story can be written. Upon this page, I can write a story of restoration, a story of unexpected joy, a story of renewed purpose, a story of profound peace. The sheer, beautiful emptiness of this page is not a void to be feared, but a realm of infinite possibility to be welcomed with a hopeful heart. You have believed that the last chapter has defined you forever, but I tell you, that chapter is finished. And this new page offers a new definition, a new narrative. I am the author, and I have the power to begin an entirely new theme, to introduce a new and beautiful melody, to steer your story in a direction you never could have imagined from the vantage point of your sorrow. The blankness of the page is not a sign of your emptiness. It is a sign of my creative freedom and my loving intention to write for you something more beautiful than what has gone before. And understand, my child, the nature of my thoughtful pause. A great author does not rush from a tragic scene to a joyful one without a moment of profound artistic consideration. My pause, while my pen has been hovering, has not been a pause of indecision or neglect. It has been a pause of love and contemplation. I have been considering the perfect first words for your new chapter. I have been designing a narrative that will not just ignore your past pain, but will honor it, redeem it, and use it as a foundation for a new and more resilient strength. I have been ensuring that the transition from the old chapter to the new is one of perfect grace, of profound wisdom, of beautiful, seamless artistry. This thoughtful pause has also been a time for you, my beloved, a time for your heart to rest after its great trial, a time for the dust of the old chapter to settle, a time for your spirit to become quiet enough, receptive enough, to be able to receive the new story I'm about to write, to have begun the new chapter too soon, while your heart was still in the throes of its deepest grief, would have been a cruelty. My pause has been an act of the most tender and compassionate respect for your healing process. You see, my child, what you have perceived as a final, desolate ending has been, from my perspective, a sacred, creative, and purposeful interlude. You saw a closed book. I saw my own hand, poised with a pen full of eternal ink, ready to write. You felt an empty silence. I was in a state of deep, loving contemplation, designing your glorious new beginning. You feared the story was over. I knew that its most beautiful and triumphant chapter was just about to begin. Let this new vision replace the old one in your heart. Let go of the image of the closed book and embrace. Instead, this beautiful, hope-filled reality, the reality of your loving author, sitting at his desk, his heart filled with love for you, his mind filled with a magnificent new story for you, his pen hovering, trembling with creative potential over the fresh, clean page of your life. The story is not over. The author has not walked away. The ink is not dry. The pause is ending. And the next beautiful sentence is about to be written. Trust me, my child, for my pen is hovering, and the new chapter will be one of glorious, redemptive, and unimaginable joy. The world only reads the pages that have already been written, and it makes its judgments based on that limited text. It saw your last painful chapter, and unable to see the pages that follow, it declared the book finished. But I am the author who is always writing, always creating, always moving the story forward towards its intended, glorious conclusion. My vision is not limited to the past. It is eternally focused on the beautiful potential of the now and the certain fulfillment of the future. This hovering of my pen is an act of profound and active love. It is my declaration that I am not finished with you, that your story is not complete, that your greatest chapters are still ahead. It is the ultimate contradiction to the lie of hopelessness, the ultimate refutation of the verdict of despair. The very fact that you are able to receive these words, that your heart is open to this new possibility, is a sign that the pause is ending and the writing is beginning anew. You are cooperating with me in this creative process by simply choosing to believe that there is a next page, that the pen is hovering, that your author has not abandoned you. So lift your spiritual eyes from the tear-stained ink of yesterday. Look with me now upon the beautiful, luminous, and potential-filled expanse of the new page. Feel the sacred anticipation of this creative moment. The silence is about to be broken, not by a sound of sorrow, but by the gentle, scratching sound of my pen as it touches the page, beginning to inscribe a new narrative of grace, of healing, and of triumphant love. Your story is not over yet. It is just beginning again. Every great story has moments of deep conflict and apparent tragedy. These are the chapters that grip the heart, that test the character of the protagonist, that make the eventual victory all the more satisfying. Your last chapter was such a passage. It was necessary for your development, for the richness of your overall story, but it was never, ever intended to be the final word. I am the author who specializes in sequels that are even more glorious than their original story. I am the God of the new volume, the new season, the new song, and the story I'm beginning to write for you now, on this fresh page, will be a testament to my power to redeem, to restore, and to create a beauty so profound that it makes all past sorrows seem like a distant dream. Trust me, my beloved. My pen is hovering, and your new story is about to unfold. My precious child, now that you have begun to perceive the truth of my presence with you. Now that you can envision me not as an absent author, but as one whose loving pen hovers, ready, over the next page of your life. Let us explore the profound and sacred meaning of this pause that has followed your last chapter's end, for the period that has felt to you like a desolate, final, and empty silence has been, from my eternal perspective, a holy and purposeful interlude. This has not been a meaningless void, but a sacred pause, a divine caesura in the poetry of your life, a transition between great movements in your soul's symphony, absolutely necessary for the next part of your story to have its fullest, most glorious impact. The world does not understand the power of the pause. It fears stillness. It abhors the vacuum. It rushes to fill every silent moment with noise, with activity, with distraction. But I, the master composer, the divine author of all things, I know that the most powerful moments in any great story are often found not in the action itself, but in the pregnant, potent stillness that precedes or follows it. And the pause is where meaning is absorbed, where anticipation is built, where the heart is prepared for what is to come. And the pause you have endured, my beloved, has been a testament to the significance of the chapter that has just closed, and a sacred preparation for the magnificence of the chapter that is about to begin. Let us consider, first, the dramatic necessity of this pause in any great story, in any magnificent symphony. There are moments of profound climax or deep tragedy, and after such a moment, the artist does not immediately rush into the next scene, the next joyful melody. To do so would be to cheapen what has occurred, to deny its emotional weight. A space is required, a pause, a moment for the audience to breathe, to feel, to absorb the full impact of the drama. Your last chapter, my child, was one of profound trial, of deep sorrow, a dramatic climax of a certain part of your journey. The full stop was real, and the pause that followed has been my way of honoring the significance of what you have been through. It has been a sacred space for you to grieve what was lost, to process the pain, to allow the emotional echoes of that chapter to settle, to have immediately written a new, joyful chapter upon the heels of such sorrow would have been a cruelty, a denial of your very real human experience. My pause has been an act of profound respect for your heart, a silent acknowledgement of the magnitude of your struggle, a holy space where your tears could be wept and your weariness could be felt without the pressure of having to immediately move on. This pause has given your story its proper weight, its authentic emotional depth. It has ensured that when the new joyful chapter begins, it does not feel like a shallow denial of the past, as but a profound, hard-won, and deeply meaningful triumph over it. Think of this pause also, my beloved, as the transition between great volumes in the epic of your life. The story that just concluded was not merely a chapter. It was, in many ways, the end of an entire volume of your becoming. It was the volume that told the story of your youth, perhaps, of your initial dreams, of your first great loves, and your first great losses. It was a beautiful volume, filled with its own unique lessons and adventures. But now, that volume is complete, and the pause you have been in is like the space between two great books in a series, the time when one cover is closed and the next has not yet been opened. This is why the ending felt so final, so absolute. It was not just a turn in the road, it was the end of a particular road altogether. And now, I am preparing to begin an entirely new volume, a new saga, with new themes, new characters, and a new and more glorious destiny. This new volume will build upon the foundations of the first. Yes, but it will be a different story. A story of your maturity, of your refined strength, of your deeper wisdom, of your fire-forged purpose. The pause between these volumes has been necessary to signal the significance of this transition, to create a clear demarcation between the you of your past story and the magnificent, new you who will be the protagonist of the next. It has been a time of deep, unconscious integration, a quiet letting go of the old volume so that your hands and your heart are free to receive the new one. Within this sacred pause, a profound work of soul integration has been taking place. The lessons you learned in your last chapter, the strengths you forged in the fire, the wisdom that was gleaned from your pain, these could not be immediately and consciously integrated into your being. They needed time to settle, to become a part of you at a cellular, soul deep level. The pause has been a time for your spiritual roots to absorb the potent nutrients of your past experiences. It has been a season of deep, inner alchemy, where the raw experiences of your trial have been slowly, quietly transformed into the enduring substance of your character. Imagine a blacksmith who has just pulled a red-hot sword from the forge. They do not immediately begin to wield it. They must first allow it to cool, to temper, to allow its very molecular structure to settle and to stabilize into its new, resilient form. So it has been with you. My child, you have emerged from the fire of your last chapter, and this sacred pause has been your time of tempering, of cooling, of allowing the profound changes that have been wrought within you to stabilize and to become your new, enduring reality. To have thrown you into a new story too soon would have been to risk shattering the very strength that was still in the process of being solidified. My pause has been my wisdom, ensuring that the work of your past chapter becomes a permanent and unshakable part of who you are. And of course, my beloved, this pause has been a time of my own holy preparation. As I have told you, my pen has been hovering, but this hovering has not been idleness. It has been a time of profound, divine contemplation and creative activity. I, your author, have been reading and rereading the volume that has just closed, honoring its story, cherishing your faithfulness within it, and designing the perfect, most beautiful, most redemptive continuation. I have been plotting the new chapters, envisioning the new landscapes, preparing the new blessings. I have been at work in the unseen realm, aligning circumstances, preparing the hearts of others, setting the stage for the magnificent new narrative that is about to unfold, just as a master playwright, between acts of a great play, is furiously at work behind the curtain, rearranging the set and preparing the props, giving final instructions to the actors. So too have I been at work behind the curtain of your visible reality. The pause you have experienced has been my sacred intermission, a time of intense, loving, and purposeful activity, all designed to ensure that when the curtain rises on the next act of your life, it will be a scene of such beauty, such grace, such divine order, that it will take your breath away. So you see, My precious child, the pause at the end of your last chapter has been anything but empty. It has been a holy space, filled with meaning, with purpose, with the deepest and most loving work of your God. It has been a pause that has honored your past, that has integrated its lessons, and that has prepared the way for your most glorious future. Let this understanding now transform your memory of this waiting time. See it not as a barren void, but as a sacred chrysalis. See it not as an ending, but as a profound and necessary transition. See it not as my absence, but as a time of my most intimate and focused presence. The pause has served its purpose. The transition is nearing its completion. And the hand that has been hovering, the pen that is full of eternal ink, is now, my beloved, beginning to move. The first word of your new chapter is about to be written. Every great piece of music has its rests, its pauses. These moments of silence are not an absence of music. They are an integral part of it. They give the notes their rhythm, their meaning, their power. A composition with no rest would be a relentless, exhausting barrage of sound. My composition of your life is a work of divine artistry, and I know the perfect placement of every note and every rest. The long rest you have been in has been a sacred pause, creating a dramatic tension and a profound yearning that will make the new melodies I am about to introduce sound all the more sweet, all the more glorious, all the more satisfying to your soul. Trust the composer, my child. Trust the author. Trust the artist. The pause has been a sign not of the end of the work, but of the immense significance of it. It has been a holy interlude, a sacred breath, a divine transition. And now, that pause is coming to its beautiful, purposeful end. The silence is about to be filled with a new and wonderful sound. The blank page is about to be filled with a new and glorious story. My precious child, now that you understand the sacred and purposeful nature of the pause that has followed the painful closing of your last chapter, now that you can perceive the stillness, not as an empty void, but as a holy interlude, a transition between great volumes of your life, let us now illuminate the divine and loving work I am performing within this very pause. For I am not merely waiting for time to pass before I begin to write anew. No, my beloved, in this sacred quiet, as my pen hovers over the next page, I'm also performing a miracle of divine reinterpretation. I am rewriting the very narrative of your past. I am taking the chapters that seem to you to be stories of tragedy, of failure, of a final, desolate end, and I'm revealing them for what they have truly been, a all along the perfect, necessary, and masterfully crafted setup for the most glorious plot twist, the most triumphant new beginning that's about to unfold in your life. You have looked back upon your story and have seen only a narrative of decline, a journey that led to a full stop of sorrow. You have read the past chapters through the lens of their painful conclusion, and this has colored everything, making even past joys seem like a cruel prelude to the eventual heartbreak. But I, your divine author, who knows the end from the beginning and the beginning from the end, I read your story with a different understanding. I see the hidden connections, the subtle foreshadowing, the divine purpose woven into every line, every word, every silence. And I am now inviting you to begin to see your own past with my eyes, to understand how the very events that you believed were your undoing were. In fact, my loving and strategic preparation for your greatest victory. Consider the painful setup of a great loss. You have perhaps endured a chapter where something or someone you cherished with all your heart was taken from you. A relationship ended. A loved one passed. A dream dissolved. And this loss felt like the ultimate tragedy. The central event that brought your joyful story to a crashing halt. You have seen it as the moment your book was irreparably broken. But I am now rewriting that narrative for you. I am showing you how that profound loss, in all its agonizing reality, was also a sacred emptying, a holy stripping away. That was necessary to create within you the capacity for a new and even deeper love, a new and more aligned purpose. Perhaps the love you lost, while beautiful, was also limiting you in some unseen way. Perhaps the dream that died was a good dream, but not the ultimate, God-sized dream I have held for you. The profound grief that this loss carved into your heart has created a new depth within your soul, a new capacity for compassion, a new longing for that which is eternal and can never be lost. It has broken your reliance on earthly things for your ultimate happiness and has turned your heart towards me, your only true and lasting source of joy. The setup of that loss, my child, as painful as it was, has prepared you to receive a love, a joy, a purpose so much vaster, so much more profound than your pre-wounded heart could ever have contained. It was not the end of your love story. It was the powerful, character-deepening backstory for the divine romance that is to come. Consider also the painful setup of a perceived failure. You have known chapters where you have striven with all your might, only to see your efforts crumble into dust. A business failed, a project did not succeed, a goal was not reached, and you have looked upon these events as evidence of your own inadequacy, your own lack of worth, a permanent stain of failure upon your record. But I, the author of redemption, am now rewriting that narrative. I am showing you how those very failures were my most effective tools for dismantling the prideful, self-reliant ego that stood in the way of your true power. As long as you were succeeding in your own strength, you had little need for mine. As long as you believed you were the architect of your own success, you could not fully surrender to me as the true architect of your life. My love for you is so great that I was willing to permit the temporary failure of your own small plans to bring you into the glorious, liberating reality of my infinitely greater plan. The failure was a sacred crucible that burned away your pride and taught you humility. It was the classroom that taught you reliance on my grace. It was the humbling that prepared you for a true and lasting success, a success that will be rooted not in your own striving, but in my power flowing through you, a success that you will carry with grace and gratitude, and which will bring glory not to your ego, but to me. That failure was not the end of your story of success. It was the essential, pride-shattering setup for a new story of divine empowerment. And what of the painful setup of betrayal or injustice? You may have endured a chapter where your trust was shattered, where your goodness was met with deceit, where you were profoundly wronged. And this has left a deep wound of cynicism, of fear, of a belief that the world is an unsafe place and that hearts cannot be trusted. You have seen this as a story that has taught you to build walls, to close your heart, to live in a state of perpetual self-protection. But I am now rewriting this narrative with the golden ink of my truth. I am showing you how that very experience of human faithlessness has been the training ground for you to discover my absolute, unwavering faithfulness. Having had your trust broken by man, you have been invited into a deeper, more profound trust in me, your God who can never betray you. The wound has forced you to become a more discerning soul, to learn to place your ultimate trust not in the fragile promises of human beings, but in the unshakable rock of my character. And it has cultivated within you a profound empathy for others who have been betrayed, equipping you to be a powerful minister of my healing love. The very betrayal that seemed destined to close your heart forever has, in my hands, become the very experience now that is teaching you how to love more wisely, more compassionately, and with a heart whose ultimate security is found only in me. It was not the end of your capacity to trust. It was the necessary setup for you to learn to place your trust in the only one who is eternally, perfectly trustworthy. Imagine you are reading a great mystery novel for many chapters. The plot seems confusing, the clues contradictory, the events random and meaningless. You may even be tempted to put the book down, believing the author has lost their way. But then you come to the final chapters, and with a single, brilliant revelation, a stunning plot twist, the author suddenly makes sense of everything that came before. You look back and see that every confusing event, every seemingly random clue, was actually a piece of masterful foreshadowing, a necessary part of an intricate and brilliant design. So it is with your life. My child, you have been living through those confusing, seemingly meaningless chapters. But now, in this sacred pause, I am preparing for the great revelation, the glorious plot twist, and as it unfolds, you will look back upon your past with new eyes, and you will see my hand, my wisdom, my love, my intricate design, woven through every single page. Your pain will be redeemed. Your confusion will be turned to wonder. And you will see that your story was never a tragedy in the making, but has always been, and always will be, a magnificent, redemptive, and divinely authored epic, with you as its beloved and victorious hero. This rewriting of your narrative is a profound act of healing. It heals the past by imbuing it with a new, redemptive meaning. It heals the present by freeing you from the burden of a painful, unresolved story. And it heals your future by opening you up to a new narrative of hope, of purpose, and of glorious possibility. You no longer need to be a prisoner of your own history. You do not have to be defined by your losses, your failures, or your wounds. For I, the author and perfecter of your faith, am taking the very ink of those sorrowful chapters, and I'm using it to write the beautiful, triumphant title of your new beginning. Trust this divine reframing. My beloved, allow me to show you the hidden purpose in your pain, the sacred setup in your suffering. And the story is not what you thought it was. It is far grander, far more loving, far more redemptive than you have ever allowed yourself to imagine. And the chapters that have felt like an ending have been nothing less than the perfect, necessary, and divinely crafted prelude to the most glorious part of your story, which is only now about to begin. The world reads your story and sees only the literal text of the painful events. But I read the subtext, the deeper meaning, the spiritual narrative that has been unfolding beneath the surface. And it is this deeper narrative that is the true one. It is the story of a soul being strengthened, being purified, being made ready for a magnificent destiny. Every tear you have shed has been a word in this deeper story. Every prayer you have whispered has been a line of its sacred poetry. Every act of your faith has been a beautiful sentence. I have not missed a single syllable of this true, hidden narrative. And it is the story of your beautiful, resilient heart that I'm now bringing to the forefront, making it the dominant theme of all the chapters yet to come. My precious child, as your heart begins to receive the truth of my redemptive artistry, as you learn to see your past not as a tragic ending, but as a masterful and loving setup for a glorious new plot twist, the sacred, creative pause now comes to its holy end. The silence that has felt so final is about to be broken, not by an echo of past sorrows, but by a new and life-giving sound, the pen of your divine author, which has been hovering with such loving and purposeful intention over the blank page of your future. Now, gently, deliberately, touches down, and with this touch, a new sentence begins. A new paragraph takes shape. A new chapter is initiated. I want you now, my beloved, to become exquisitely aware of the first word of this new chapter, for it is already being inscribed in your experience. These are the initial, subtle, yet undeniable signs that your story is continuing. A new idea, a flicker of hope, an unexpected opportunity, a shift in your inner being, proving with a quiet, joyful certainty that your story is not over yet. After a long season of staring at the final, stark punctuation of your last chapter, it can be difficult to perceive these first new words. Your eyes have grown accustomed to the blankness that followed, your ears to the profound silence. But I invite you now to lean in close, to listen with your heart, to watch with the eyes of your spirit. For I am beginning to write again, and the script is one of hope, of healing, and of a glorious new beginning. Perhaps the very first word of your new chapter is a new and unexpected thought. For so long, your mind may have been a closed loop, endlessly replaying the painful scenes of your past chapter, endlessly repeating the narrative of loss and finality. But now, into that closed system of thought, my spirit gently introduces a new word, a new idea. May come as a quiet what if that challenges the certainty of your despair. What if this isn't the end? What if there is a purpose in this? What if something beautiful could still come from this? Or it may be a sudden, creative idea, a vision for a small, new project, an interest in a new subject that seems to arise from nowhere. This, my child, is not an idle daydream. It is my hovering pen, touching down in the realm of your mind. It is the first word. Let there be light, spoken into the darkness of your old thought patterns. A word that carries within it the creative power to begin an entirely new narrative for your life. You may also perceive this first word as a flicker of authentic, renewed hope. The hope you tried to cling to in the past may have been an exhausting, willful effort. But this new hope is different. It is a gift. It often arrived quietly, unexpectedly, perhaps sparked by one of these new thoughts, or by a small kindness, or by a moment of beauty. It is a gentle warmth that begins to spread through your heart, a quiet inner conviction that, against all logical evidence, your future holds goodness. This is not a loud, boisterous optimism, but a tender, resilient seedling of hope, pushing its way up through the ashes of your past. This flicker of hope is my pen, writing the word life upon a page that you believe was reserved only for stories of death and endings. It is a small word, but it contains within it the power of resurrection, the promise of the entire glorious chapter that is to come. Look also, my beloved, for the first word written in the language of an unexpected opportunity. The world may have appeared to you as a place of closed doors, of insurmountable walls. You have knocked, perhaps, and found no answer. You have pushed and found no give. But now, as I begin to write your new chapter, I, the one who holds all keys, am beginning to create an opening. It may be a very small opening at first, an unexpected phone call from an old friend, a chance encounter with someone who can help you, a small yes in a situation where you expected a no, an opportunity to use one of your gifts in a new, perhaps modest, way. Do not despise these small beginnings. My child, they are not random coincidences. They are the deliberate plot points that I, your author, am now introducing into your story. They are the first sentence of your new chapter, a sentence that may begin simply, but which is destined to lead into a narrative of extraordinary grace and divine adventure. Each small opportunity is a word from me, a loving invitation to step out of the postscript of your past and on to the fresh page of your future. It is my hand beginning to write the theme of restoration and new beginnings into the very circumstances of your life. And you will feel this first word as a profound shift in your inner feeling, a new emotional tone being set for this chapter. The heavy, oppressive atmosphere of grief and despair that has been your constant companion will, for a moment, lift. And into that space will come a feeling of peace that is not just the absence of pain, but a positive, comforting presence. It is a sense of being held, of being safe, of all being well at the very deepest level. This is my spirit, writing the word peace upon the turbulent pages of your heart. This inner peace is the new setting, the beautiful, serene landscape in which the rest of your new chapter will unfold. It is the foundational quiet that allows all the other beautiful words and melodies of your new story to be clearly heard and deeply received. My child, these first words are my love, breaking through the silence. They are my life, pushing through the ashes. They are my promise, beginning to take tangible form. I invite you to become a treasure hunter for these first words. When a new hopeful thought arises, do not dismiss it. When a flicker of authentic hope warms your heart, do not doubt it. When a small opportunity presents itself, do not fear it. When a moment of peace descends, do not question it. Receive these first words as the precious, sacred gifts they are. Acknowledge them. Give thanks for them, for in doing so, you are actively reading along with me. You are aligning your heart with the new story I am writing. You are declaring your faith that the full stop was not final, that the author has not abandoned his work, that the book is not closed. Your recognition and your gratitude are a beautiful amen to the new sentence I am beginning. an act of co-creation that gives my words even greater power and purchase in your life. The story is not over yet, my beloved. The silence has been broken. The pen has touched the page, and these first, beautiful, life-giving words are the undeniable, irrefutable proof that a new and glorious chapter of your life, a chapter of healing, of hope, of purpose, and of joy, is, in this very moment, beginning to be written. The power of these first words lies in their divine origin. They are not born of your own wishful thinking or your strained effort. They are seeds of my own reality, planted directly into the soil of your awareness. And because they are my words, they carry within them the creative power to bring forth the very reality they describe. The word hope creates hope. The word peace creates peace. The word life creates life. You are witnessing the very act of divine creation in the intimate landscape of your own soul. This is a time for great attentiveness, just as a scholar, deciphering an ancient and precious manuscript, would study every letter, every stroke of the pen. So I invite you to become a loving scholar of your own life in the season. Pay attention to the subtle shifts of the quiet promptings, the unexpected graces. Keep a journal, perhaps, of these first words, these evidences of my hand at work as you record them, as you reflect upon them. You will see a pattern emerging, the beautiful, coherent beginning of your new narrative taking shape. This practice will build your faith in a way that nothing else can. It is one thing to believe in my promises in the abstract. It is another thing entirely to see them beginning to be written, word by word, in the concrete reality of your own experience. This is the faith that moves from the head to the heart, a faith that is no longer just a belief, but a deep, unshakable, and joyful knowing. So do not be dismayed if the full chapter is not yet visible, if the entire plot is not yet revealed. A great story is never told all at once. It unfolds, sentence by sentence, paragraph by paragraph, revealing its beauty and its meaning in its own perfect time. For now, simply rejoice in these first words. They are enough. They are the promise, the beginning, the undeniable proof that your story is not over yet. The first word of a story determines its direction. And the first words I'm writing in your new chapter are words of grace, of hope, of love, and of life. This is the new direction. This is the new theme. The old narrative of sorrow and ending has been interrupted by a new, divine, authorial voice. And the story it is telling is one of redemption and glorious new beginnings. Welcome these words. My child, let them be the foundation of your new hope. Let them be the focus of your new attention. For they are the beginning of a chapter more beautiful than you can yet imagine. A chapter that will redeem all the sorrow of the past and fill your future with the light, a joy, and a purpose that will never fade. The pen has moved. The first word is written, and your story continues. My precious child, now that my pen has touched the page, now that the first life-giving words of your new chapter are beginning to appear in your experience as flickers of hope, new ideas, and unexpected opportunities. I now invite you into the beautiful and joyful practice of learning to read along with me. For so long, your gaze has been fixed upon the last, painful page of the previous volume. Your heart rereading the sorrowful narrative of its ending. Your spirit convinced that the story was complete, but a new story is now being written. A new chapter is unfolding. And I, your loving author, invite you now to lift your eyes from the full stop of the past and to begin to read with a heart full of faith and joyful expectation the new and glorious lines that I'm even now inscribing upon your life. This is a profound shift in your inner posture, my beloved. It is a movement from being a mourner of a past story to becoming an engaged and eager reader of a new one. It is a conscious choice to cooperate with the continuation of your narrative, to align your focus with my creative action, and to become my partner in the beautiful unfolding of the tale to come. This is the art of learning to read my sacred script, and it is the key to living fully in the new reality I am creating for you. How do you learn to read along with me? It begins with the courageous and deliberate act of lifting your gaze from the old page. The chapter that ended in sorrow, with its stark full stop, can have a powerful hypnotic pull. The mind, in its attempt to process the pain, can get stuck in a loop, endlessly rereading that final, difficult passage, trying to find a different meaning, a different outcome. But as long as your eyes are fixed upon that page, you cannot possibly see the new words I am writing on the next. And so, I invite you to a holy act of closure. With my help, you can consciously, lovingly, close that old volume. You can thank it for its lessons. You can honor the story it told, and then you can place it gently upon the shelf of your past, choosing no longer to make it your primary text for daily living. This is not an act of denial or suppression. It is an act of profound wisdom. It is recognizing that while that chapter was a real and significant part of your story, it is no longer the current chapter. Your story has moved on, because I, the author, have moved on, and I am inviting you to move with me. This requires a gentle but firm discipline of the mind when you find your thoughts drifting back, rereading the old pain. You can gently say to your soul, that book is finished. The author is writing a new one now. Let us see what today's page holds. This simple act of turning your attention from the past to the present, from what has been written to what is being written, is the first and most crucial step in learning to read along with me. Secondly, my child, I invite you to read this new, unfolding story with the eyes of faith. This means interpreting the new events of your life, the new plot points I am introducing, not through the old, fearful lens of your past trauma, but through the new, hopeful lens of your trust in me, your loving author. You have seen the first words, a new idea, a small opportunity, a moment of peace. Now, as more words and sentences begin to appear, you are invited to read them with the assumption that they are part of a good and glorious story. If a new challenge appears in this chapter, do not immediately interpret it as a sign that the story is returning to the old tragedy. Instead, with the eyes of faith, you can see it as an exciting new plot point, a challenge designed by a skillful author to bring forth a new strength or a new wisdom in you, the protagonist. If an unexpected detour appears on your path, you can choose to see it not as a frustrating delay, but as an intriguing subplot, a side adventure that will ultimately add richness and depth to the main narrative. Reading with faith means trusting that the author knows what he is doing, that every part of the story, even the challenging parts of this new chapter, are ultimately working towards a beautiful and triumphant conclusion. This leads to the third practice, which is learning to read with a spirit of joyful expectation. For so long, your heart has been braced for more pain, more disappointment. You have learned to read your life with a sense of dread, expecting the worst. But the first words of this new chapter have been words of hope, of life, of peace. And these are a clue to the theme of the entire new volume. I invite you now to let go of the old habit of dread and to cultivate a new, holy habit of joyful expectation. Begin to read your life as you would read a novel by your most favorite, most trusted author, an author known for writing stories with breathtakingly beautiful and satisfying endings. As you turn each day's page, do so not with fear, but with an eager anticipation, wondering, what beautiful thing will my God write into my story today? What new grace will be revealed? What joyful plot twist is just around the corner? This posture of joyful expectation is a powerful act of faith. It creates an atmosphere of delight around your life, and it opens your heart to perceive and to receive the goodness I am constantly weaving into your narrative. It is choosing to believe that your story is not a tragedy, but a divine comedy, an epic romance, a story destined for a glorious, happily ever after in me. And finally, my beloved, learning to read along with me involves becoming an active protagonist in your own story. I am the divine author. Yes, but you are not a passive character. You are my co-creator, my beloved hero. And when I write a new line of script for you, I invite you to speak it with courage, to act it out with faith. When my pen writes a new opportunity upon your page, I am inviting you to step into that scene and to play your part. When my script calls for an act of forgiveness, of love, of courage, I am inviting you to become the character who performs that beautiful act. Your cooperation with the unfolding narrative is what brings the story to life. A script, however beautiful, is just words on a page until a talented, willing actor embodies it, speaks its lines, and lives out its story. So it is with you. I am writing the magnificent, victorious part for you in this new chapter. Your role is to read the lines I am giving you, the intuitive nudges, the hopeful thoughts, the open doors, and to act upon them with a willing and trust-filled heart. As you do, the story moves from being a blueprint in my mind to being a living, breathing, beautiful reality in your life. You are not just reading the story, you are becoming the story. A living epic of my grace, my love, and my redemptive power. This, my child, is the joyful art of learning to read along with me. It is a journey of shifting your focus from the closed book of yesterday to the open page of today. It is a journey of learning to interpret your life through the lens of faith and joyful expectation. And it is a journey of becoming a courageous and active participant in the beautiful, ongoing story that I'm so lovingly, so joyfully writing for you. The full stop is behind you. The blank page is before you. And the greatest, most glorious chapters of your life are now waiting to be read. Day 2, 1686. Continuing to write to reach 2,000 words. The practice of lifting your eyes from the full stop of the past may require a gentle but persistent effort. The old story has a powerful gravity, but each time you consciously choose to focus on the new first words I have given you. You weaken the pull on the past and strengthen your connection to your new, unfolding reality. It is a retraining of your spiritual vision, learning to look forward with hope rather than backward with grief. Reading with faith will transform your experience of challenges. You will no longer see them as signs that the story is failing, but as integral parts of a masterful plot designed to make you the hero, stronger, wiser, and more compassionate. You will begin to look for my hand, my purpose in all things, knowing that I, your author, am capable of weaving even the most difficult events into a narrative of ultimate good. And as you live in joyful expectation, your very being will begin to change. Expectation is a powerful magnet. To expect goodness from me is to draw goodness to you. To expect joy is to create the inner conditions for joy to flourish. To expect a beautiful story is to become a character worthy of one. Your joyful expectation is a powerful prayer that I delight to answer with an abundance that will exceed your wildest dreams. Your role as the active protagonist is your greatest honor. I have not written a story about a puppet, but about a beloved child, a co-creator, whose choices, whose responses, whose love are the very things that make the story so beautiful and so real. Embrace your role, my child. Speak your lines with courage. Act your part with love. And let us, together, create a story that will resound with my glory for all eternity. So to 1948, continuing to write, to reach 2,000 words. The beautiful truth is this: the more you learn to read along with me, the more I am able to write. Your faith, your trust, your cooperation, your joyful expectation, these create a vaster, more beautiful page upon which I can inscribe my glorious designs. You are not just the reader. You are also the very paper upon which the story is written, and you're yielded. Trusting heart is the most perfect, most beautiful canvas for the artistry of your divine author. So let us turn our full attention now to this new page, this new chapter. The past has served its purpose. It has been the necessary, poignant prologue. But the main story, the story of your resurrection, your restoration, your radiant fulfillment, is only now beginning. And I, your loving author, can hardly wait to show you what happens next. My precious child, as you learn to read along with me, as you lift your eyes from the full stop of yesterday and begin to trace with a faith-filled heart the new words I am writing upon the page of your life. The very nature and theme of your story begin to gloriously transform. The old volume, with its painful concluding chapter, has been lovingly shelved, and the new volume that now opens before you is revealed to be an epic that continues to unfold with a beauty, a power, and a divine purpose that will far surpass anything you have known before. This is not a mere epilogue, my beloved, nor a minor addendum to your past. This is the beginning of your greatest story, a story whose central, magnificent themes are resurrection, redemption, and a purpose so radiant it will illuminate all your days. For so long, you believed your story to be a tragedy, a tale that ended in loss and sorrow. But now, as you read along with me, you will see that the tragedy was but a single, powerful act in a much grander play, a play whose ultimate genre is not tragedy, but divine. Triumphant comedy, a story where all sorrows are redeemed, all wrongs are made right, yes, and all things culminate in a great and joyful celebration. The first great theme of this new volume, my child, is resurrection. You have known the death of the previous chapter, the death of a dream, the death of a hope, the death of a part of yourself. You have sat in the ashes of that ending, believing all life was gone. But my eternal ink does not write endings. It writes new beginnings. And the new life you are now beginning to experience is not just a simple continuation, but a true resurrection. It is life emerging from what appeared to be death, light from what seemed to be impenetrable darkness. This new, resurrected life has a different quality to it. It is stronger, more resilient, more vibrant than the life you knew before. Just as a seed that has fallen into the ground and died brings forth a plant that is far more complex and glorious than the original seed, so too are you rising from the death of your past chapter into a new form of being that is more beautiful, more powerful, or more full of my spirit than ever before. You will feel this resurrected life as a new vitality in your soul, a new passion in your heart, a new spring in your step. You are no longer defined by what has died. You are now defined by the magnificent, miraculous new life that I, the God of resurrection, have breathed into you. Woven throughout this new volume is the beautiful, golden theme of redemption. As you read this new chapter, you will begin to see, with a growing sense of awe, how I, your divine author, am taking every painful plot point from your past and weaving it into this new and beautiful narrative. Nothing is wasted. The very experiences that you thought were your undoing are now being revealed as the essential setup for your greatest victories. The sorrow you endured is being redeemed and transformed into a profound capacity for compassion. The failures you lamented are being redeemed and transformed into a deep, humble wisdom. The betrayals that wounded you are being redeemed and transformed into an unshakable reliance on my faithfulness. You will look back upon your past, and where you once saw only a series of painful, disconnected events, you will now see an intricate, masterfully woven pattern, a divine story where every single thread, even the darkest ones, has been used by my loving hand to create the beautiful, resilient, and compassionate character that you are today. This is the great plot twist of my grace. The very things that were meant to destroy your story have become the very things that make its new chapter so incredibly rich, meaningful, and beautiful, and central to this new epic. My beloved is the powerful, soaring theme of a purpose fulfilled. In the old volume, your purpose may have felt vague, or perhaps it was a purpose that was shattered by the events of your life. But in this new chapter, born of your trials and your transformation, your true, divine purpose emerges with a brilliant clarity and an unstoppable power. You know now why you are here. You know the unique gifts you have to offer. You know the specific song your soul was created to sing, and you are no longer afraid to live this purpose out loud. The old fears, the old insecurities, the old need for approval, these were all consumed in the fire of your last chapter. You emerge now as a focused, courageous, and joyful protagonist on a divine mission. And this purpose is not a heavy burden, but your greatest delight. It is natural, effortless expression of your most authentic self. As you live from this place of clarified purpose, your life becomes a powerful force for my love and my light in the world, and you experience a sense of fulfillment so deep, so profound, that it makes all the past waiting, all the past pain, utterly worthwhile. This new epic, my child, is the true story of your life. It is a story I have always intended to write. The previous volume, with all its joys and its sorrows, was but the necessary prologue, the essential backstory that has made you the magnificent, complex, and beautiful hero who is now ready to take center stage. Do not be afraid to embrace this new narrative. Let go of the old, tragic tale you have been telling yourself, and begin to read, to live, to become the beautiful, triumphant, and ongoing story that I am now so joyfully writing with your life. The full stop was an illusion. The book was never closed. And the epic that continues to unfold will be more glorious, more joyful, and more filled with my love than you could ever have imagined. Your story is not over. My child, its most magnificent chapters have only just begun. The theme of joy in this new volume will be a resilient one. It will not be a joy that is dependent on perfect circumstances, but a joy that has been forged in the very heart of sorrow, a joy that knows it can endure. This joy will be your strength, a luminous quality of your being that cannot be easily shaken. The theme of love will be one of profound depth and authenticity. Having had your heart broken open, you are now capable of loving with a compassion, a wisdom, and a selflessness that was not possible before. Your love will be a healing balm, a safe harbor, a true reflection of my own heart. The theme of your purpose will be one of powerful, grace-filled action. You will move through the world not with the tentative steps of one who is afraid, but with the quiet confidence of one who knows their calling, who is secure in their identity, and who is empowered by the very Spirit of God. This is the epic I am writing for you, my beloved. A story where the past is not erased, but redeemed. A story where pain is not the end, but the catalyst for a greater glory. A story where what seemed like a tragic ending is revealed to be the very beginning of the most beautiful and triumphant tale of all. Read on with me. My child, the story is glorious. Every new day is a new page. Every choice you make is a new sentence. And I am with you always, the loving author, guiding the narrative, ensuring that the overarching theme is always my grace, my love, and my ultimate victory in your life. The world may have closed the book on you, but I, the author of all things, have just begun a new and magnificent volume. And the story we will write together will be a bestseller in the libraries of heaven. A timeless tale of the beauty that can rise from ashes, the hope that can be born from despair, and the glorious truth that with me, no story ever truly ends, but only unfolds into a greater and more beautiful glory. As the final words of this part of our conversation settle into your heart, my cherished child, let the profound peace and the joyful anticipation of your ongoing story be your new reality. The grief of the full stop, the pain of the closed book, has been answered by the glorious truth of my hovering pen, my eternal link, and my unwavering commitment to your beautiful, unfolding narrative. You have learned that what felt like a tragic ending was but a sacred pause, a necessary preparation for a new and more glorious volume of your life. The past has been reframed, its pain being redeemed, its lessons integrated, and you have begun to hear the first beautiful words of this new chapter, a chapter whose themes are resurrection, redemption, and a purpose more radiant than you have ever known. Rest now from the sorrow of your old story, my beloved, and embrace with a joyful and trusting heart the magnificent epic that continues to unfold. For I am your author, and I promise you, the best chapters are still to come.